To take an L, to scratch, to be under par, or my favorite, to hit a wall. Unlike most people, whenever I fail and I hit a wall, it's usually in a very literal sense. I've been climbing for 11 years now. I started here in the DFW area. I get what you're thinking. There's no mountains here. But there are a lot of gyms. And whenever I was 12, that's when I joined a competitive rock team in Frisco, Texas. I was lucky enough to have supportive parents, teammates, and coaches to push me along my climbing career. As Jeremy said, since then I've won 12 championship titles between youth and adult, national, and Pan American competitions. But just like everyone else, I've hit my fair share of walls. So tonight, I have 3 steps for you guys to hopefully help you get up the wall instead of hit the wall. Step 1 is goal setting. Dream big. Use your dream to figure out which direction you need to go in. Then, figure out your weaknesses and use those weaknesses to set your short-term goals. Remember that you have weaknesses for a reason, and you need to be ready to face those reasons head on. My favorite quote is from Albert Einstein, and it's that you can't solve a problem with the same thinking that you used to create it. That means you have to be willing to change. I know, it's scary. Step 2 involves focus. In the spring of 2017, I went on an expedition to Corsica. The goal of the trip was to climb a route called Delicatessen, which was 600 feet of granite climbing. I had 10 years of climbing experience under my belt, but I was not prepared for this trip. My partner and I had 1 month to complete the route, which was plenty of time for him, but for me, I could barely do any part of the route at all. The harder I fought, the worse it got. It took 13 days up on that route for me to finally break down, and I lowered off that route in tears. And my partner looked at me and he was like, okay, you're here to learn, relax, it's okay. And of course I realized that he was right. I was there to feed my ego. I wanted to send that route so badly, and I was just focused on the outcome that I forgot to focus on the process. So that's step 2. Be present, be humble, and focus on what you can control. Step 3 is an expression from my climbing coach, and it's climb your climb. In 2015, I went to a World Cup competition in Briançon, France. For the second time in my climbing career, I made finals in that World Cup. And then I made the biggest mistake of my climbing career. I skipped the second clip and was immediately called off the wall. It was devastating. In one instant, it felt like all of my efforts had amounted to nothing. I no longer had a shot at a medal or a spot on the podium on the international stage. But then I remembered what my coach always said, climb your climb. It means you have to be willing to put everything on the table and get nothing in return. And that's okay. As long as you're pushing yourself, you'll keep growing. So I'm gonna keep competing, and maybe I won't make that World Cup podium, but that's okay. Whenever you guys are hitting your walls, whether it be a financial situation, a relationship, or whatever. Maybe you're 600 feet on a granite climb and you don't know what to do. Just remember, set goals that address your weaknesses. Only focus on what you can control and keep climbing your climb.